It's 8 o'clock. This is the UK Tonight. Coming up, the Lionesses bring it home after winning the Euros with an historic victory over Spain. Celebrations kicking off in Downing Street tonight as the team prepares for an open-top bus parade through central London tomorrow. We'll speak live to Lucy Bronze's family and former Lioness Bethany England about what it means for the team to retain this title. Also ahead, Donald Trump praises the US relationship with the UK as he meets Sir Keir Starmer in Scotland. The two leaders showing a united front, agreeing urgent action is needed to address the situation in Gaza and that pressure must be put on Vladimir Putin to end the war in Ukraine. Inside the UK's ketamine crisis, we have a special report on how a drug that is soaring in popularity is leaving users in chronic pain. Plus, the new initiative to tackle unacceptably high levels of violence in prisons. We'll speak to the Prison Officers Association as guards are handed tasers for the first time. All that's come and much more on the UK Tonight. England's victorious Lionesses have arrived home following their historic Euros win, defeating Spain on penalties to retain their title as European champions. A large crowd waited for hours at Southend Airport this afternoon to welcome the team back to the UK before they headed to Downing Street for a special reception hosted by the Deputy Prime Minister. Well, tomorrow fans will get their chance to celebrate alongside the Lionesses with an open-top bus parade in central London. Sky's Alice Porter reports.
It's coming home again. Tired, yet triumphant, the Lionesses touched down at Southend, receiving a hero's welcome. Beating the odds, they made history in Basel as the first English team to win a major tournament on foreign soil.
Last night, their game was brilliant. I kid you not, they could probably hear me screaming from the TV. I was so loud.
I was same age as this one when England won the World Cup. I was 4, so I thought bring my little granddaughter along and the rest of them. And I've got some other daughters over there who are all mad football fans, so I thought come and cheer along their amazing achievement.
Allesia Russos' header in the second half evened the score against Spain, leading to extra time. Then a nail-biting penalty shootout. Chloe Kelly's winning spot kick was a dramatic end to the tournament. The hero from 3 years ago, stepping up once again to secure the Lionesses a successive European title. But there was no rest for Serena Wiegmann's side once back in the UK. It was straight to Downing Street for a reception. The Lionesses are meeting with the Deputy Prime Minister and the Sports Minister as Keir Starmer is in Scotland. But the PM said that the women had captured the hearts of the nation. At Allesia Russos' first club in Maidstone, many hope England's success will be a boost for girls' grassroots football.
From 2022, obviously winning the Euros, football is now doubled in participation for young girls. Winning back-to-back Euros, it allows now the investment to be brought in by a bigger, wider range. It allows people to actually see football as a business and big sponsors to get involved.
Pass it to your friend, nice.
For the next generation, it's clear the Lionesses are a big inspiration.
I went here when they were playing with boys, but I wanted to play with them because Allesia Russo made all of us try and get into the girls' team. Come on, England!
Echoing their 2022 Euros celebrations, on Tuesday the Lionesses will have a victory parade along the Mall on an open-top bus, finishing outside Buckingham Palace.
Still, Queens of Europe, the Lionesses are bringing it home!
A fitting tribute to the history makers who continue to lift a nation. Alice Porter, Sky News.
And they are far from done yet in terms of inspiring young women and girls and celebrating, of course. Ashna Hiranag is in Downing Street. With the party there, I think, has just come to a close. But, of course, we're going to celebrate again tomorrow, aren't we, in central London, Ashna?
Yes, celebrations are going to be continuing, I'm sure, not only through the night, but also tomorrow too. We've just seen the Lionesses leave. They had a drinks reception inside Downing Street, as you heard in Alice's piece there. The Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner, hosting the girls. We've seen pictures inside already coming out, and we've seen Serena Wiegmann holding a glass of Pimm's as she interacted with some of those present, members of the FA, players, coaches, mingling a little bit. They're inside for about 45 minutes or so, and we saw them leave in the last few minutes. It was clear, you know, from the moment they touched down, they had big smiles on their faces. They looked super sleek in their cream and black suits, and as they stood outside Downing Street, they lifted that silverware, and it was a real moment for not only the press present, but also the people outside on Downing Street who had come to see the girls and see that moment. They brought that silverware home, and truly those homecoming celebrations starting, but also continuing tomorrow. And as they came out, of course, I had to grab one of the women of the moment, Serena Wiegmann herself, and she told me when I asked her about whether this now means a damehood is perhaps on the cards, perhaps. Here's what she said when I asked her that.
I feel so much respect from England and from the royal family too. And I think that's the most important thing. And yeah, feeling valued, and it's very special to get so much respect from England.
Serena, how on earth have you managed to do this with England, also the Netherlands, win 3 European championships? So many people are in awe of you. How have you managed to do it?
I don't know. For me, it feels very surreal too. I'm just doing my best every single day and trying to bring people together. I have so much quality around me, and it needs to sink in.
In my very short interaction with her, she seemed incredibly humble. She really took the time to stop and chat, even though she was clearly a very busy woman, a woman that's in demand. But, you know, as I referenced there and as you heard in that piece, celebrations, Sarah-Jane, will continue tomorrow. They'll start from about midday. That's when the girls will descend on an open-top bus that will stretch the length of the Mall. It'll make that journey and end up at Buckingham Palace for a right royal welcome.
Yeah, and our coverage starts at 11 o'clock, all the build-up to what will be a very special occasion in central London. Ashna, thank you. Ashna Hiranag there at Downing Street for us. Well, one of England's key players this tournament was the defender Lucy Bronze, who revealed after yesterday's final that she'd played the entire tournament with a fractured leg. Well, we can now speak to her aunt and Nan, Julie and Gloria. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us on the programme tonight. I guess we ought to start with that final last night. What was it like to watch?
Horrendous. In one word. It was joyous, but it was frightening, it was terrifying, it was everything.
All of the emotions. I mean, the entire tournament has been a bit of an emotional roller coaster. Well, it certainly has for us watching as fans, but to have your Lucy on the pitch, I know you're used to watching her play at international level, but what was it like to see her in the final, particularly because you knew something we didn't, that she'd been playing on a fractured leg?
Yes. It's when you say fractured leg, it's like a stress fracture, I think, you know. But she's been in a lot of pain, but she just works through the pain. I mean, you know, she would just get on with it. It's got to be done. I got a little text from her saying, yes, we did it the hard way, but we did it.
Yeah, and she's got a degree in sports science, hasn't she? So, you know, she knows how to strap herself up to make the best of herself, to get on that pitch and make sure she can perform. And, of course, her middle name is Tough, which is something we discovered, you know, when she reached the heights of her fame with the England team. And, you know, tough by name, tough by nature. And perhaps you can talk to me. Was this an attitude she was born with, or is this something she's learned along the way through playing girls' football?
No, it was something she was born with. She's been very single-minded all her life. In anything that she's done, even before football, she was single-minded and knew what she wanted and where she wanted to be. And, you know, as a toddler...
Needed to win.
As a toddler, she wouldn't wear dresses. She always wanted to wear black, and she wanted to be like her brother, and she wanted to play football. My sister tried to introduce her to tennis, but she wasn't having it. And football was the thing that she wanted to do. And I still remember there was no such thing as a professional female footballer. So you had in your piece earlier on, Rachel Yankee. She was the role model that Lucy looked up to when she was a little girl. And Rachel, the first time she met Rachel Yankee, she couldn't speak. She was so in awe of this role model. But Lucy just wanted to play football, even though there was no such thing as a professional footballer. And I still remember when she said, I think I'm going to earn enough that I don't have to get a proper job.
You know, you've got to see it to believe it, haven't you? And I mean, that just shows you how fast the game has grown in terms of, you know, when Lucy started out, she probably didn't think she could be a professional footballer, wasn't really sure if that was an option, just wanted to play the game. And that's what so many of the Lionesses say. They just played it for the love of the game, and look at where they are now. How proud are you of what Lucy and her fellow Lionesses have done for the women's game? Because it's literally a different ball game now, isn't it?
Well, even I'm starting to realise now just how big this is. I think right up until yesterday when they were playing football, it's still just a game of football. Now it's more than a game of football, it's everything. And to look around in the area where I live here and see everybody with a smile on their face because the Lionesses have brought it home. It's a lovely feeling to know that they're at the bottom of it, Yeah,
and Julie and Gloria, I don't know about you, you know, not every girl is going to watch the Lionesses and want to play football. That, you know, they'll go and pursue their own dreams. But I think what every woman and girl will take from that final yesterday is whatever dream you dare to pursue, you know, belief and determination is key. And I think, you know, their performance in that respect transcends the game, doesn't it?
Having a true passion for what they want to do, whether it be dancing or singing or playing football or tennis or whatever, you've got to have a passion to start off with. And then if you've got that passion, you've got to have drive and determination to carry it through.
Have you spoken to her since the final? Because I saw some lovely pictures of her on the pitch with what I believe are her niece and nephew. Because I know that her brother George has been out there watching and they were throwing confetti around. It was just such a lovely image. She's obviously got some of the family out there with her. What has she said to you since that final win?
Yeah, all her immediate family are out there. A mum and a dad, a brother and his wife, and the two little children, and a younger sister. They're all out there.
And they've had the time of their lives. Well, Lucy is home now. Hopefully it's not long until you get to hug her and congratulate her in person.
Yeah, because the minute the game's finished, it doesn't matter how tired she is, she'll be rolling on the floor playing with the two little ones because she loves them.
Yeah, indeed. Well, look, may the party and the celebrations continue when she gets up to see you in Northumberland. Julie and Gloria, thank you so much. That's Lucy Bronze's aunt and Nan. Very proud they are too, as we all are today.
Thank you.
Well, I'm delighted to say we're joined now in the studio by former Lioness Bethany England, who was, of course, part of the England squad who won the Euros in 2022. Great of you to come into the studio tonight. You know how difficult it is to win this tournament. So what an achievement it is to not just win it twice, but back-to-back.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy done, and especially against a team of Spain. They're such a quality team and they've got such a calibre of players that you would think would have probably clinched that final, but the girls dug deep, they fought hard, and the name keeps coming up of resilience, and that's what they showed, and they've really fought for that win, so I'm super, super proud for them.
Yeah, once a Lioness, always a Lioness, because you are a tight-knit group of sisters, essentially, because, you know, the game has been around for a while, but it's only been this big for a short amount of time, so there's not actually that many of you in that group. How special is it, and have you spoken to any of the winners since that final, had any contact with them?
Yeah, so obviously Jess Carter is one of my best friends, so I've been able to speak with her, but for me it's a team where you're in an environment with lots of girls all in one place for a very long period of time, and what you want is that unity and that togetherness, and that's exactly what they showed on the pitch as well as off the pitch. I think we've seen many things on social media which isn't very nice for them to see, but what they've done for the nation and for women, for young girls and young boys going forward is phenomenal, and Serena Wigman is like a national hero now. I think she's a national treasure, so I think there's a petition going around for a statue for her, so yeah, I think what they've all achieved is phenomenal.
And how's Jess Carter doing now? Because obviously you alluded to it, she had a really tough time with the social media. And you know, to come and win that tournament in terms of, you know, all the girls have got personal stories about, you know, some of them have lost relatives along the way to illness, they've overcome visual impairments. They've all got these personal stories, and when they face these difficulties in their life, you know, it just goes to show any young girl, woman, anyone really, that you can sort of go on and achieve something great. How's Jess doing?
Yeah, she's good. I think for me, it's just a case of the strength that she's shown and how well she's represented herself across the tournament. I think anyone in this sport knows that there's pressure on social media, but she's carried herself exceptionally well. I think the girls have all got around her, and the way they've supported her has been phenomenal. And for me, yeah, I think she's really shown young girls that even through prejudice, you can still step up and silence your critics. And I'm so proud to call her not only one of my best friends, but now a back-to-back Euro winning champion.
What an incredible role model she is. Well, the girls have, you know, been receiving congratulations from, you know, everyone you could possibly think of, including the King. He's laid down the next challenge for them. He was quite direct, actually. I was quite shocked. He said at the end of his message, he says, "Well done, Lionesses. The next task is to bring home the World Cup in 2027, if you possibly can." So 2 years' time, Brazil. I mean, let's let them have a little breath first. Yeah. But how do you think they'll be feeling ahead of that tournament? Because, you know, it's Spain that the World Cup holders at the moment, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It is. Added spice to it. You know, how will they feel ahead of that? They can probably feel they've got a really good chance.
Yeah, I mean, I think for now they'll want to enjoy this celebration. It's not every day you become back-to-back champion, so I think they'll let the dust settle on this. But, I mean, there's so many young players in that team that going forward in 2 years' time, they're going to be eager to go. They know what glory tastes like now. There'll be hunger for more. And, yeah, I think the generational talent we've got coming through, as we've seen the youngsters coming in and shining in this tournament, is just so amazing to see. So I think going in another 2 years' time with more experience, more leadership, more growth, they'll have a great chance.
Yeah, I mean, what the Lionesses, you know, including you as part of that squad back in 2022, what you're doing for the game is phenomenal. I mean, some of the figures that have come out after that final, highest ever attendance for a women's final, over 16 million people watched on TV, making it the most watched TV moment of the year so far. The interest is there in the women's game, isn't it? We don't have to talk about, oh, is there the interest there for it? It is. And it's not just from women and girls, because when you looked at those that were out there in Switzerland supporting the women's game, not just the Lionesses, you know, the different ages, men and women, the different demographics, the interest is definitely there. That argument's been, you know, put to bed, hasn't it?
Definitely. I think for me, it's not just a case of no one's interested. It's just you need to put us on a platform where people are able to see it. And I think we've shown that. You're showing the games a lot more on ITV or BBC, Sky, even for the WSL. Games are becoming much more well-known worldwide through social media platforms, through TV channels, through big broadcasters. And yeah, to be able to sit and listen to these figures is just phenomenal, considering maybe 5-10 years ago, you probably you'd be lucky to get 100-200 people at a women's football match. And to see the impact it's had, as you said, not just on little girls and boys, women and girls, sorry, but boys as well. Yeah. And men, like there's so many family-orientated.
The biggest fan of this tournament. He knows more than me. Yeah. We watched the final together on Sunday. He was spitting out all these facts, and you know that's just
what
incredible.
I mean. Everyone loves it, and I think, do you know what? If you don't like it, that's fine. You can just politely go up. You can just go about your day. I think for me, it's just a phenomenal way of seeing how many people have just grown the interest. There's more grassroots team now. When I was young, there was no girls' grassroots teams. Now, every corner you look, there's a grassroots team, and more girls want to play football. So it's just an amazing feeling.
I was hearing about a friend's experience. She's now in her 20s, but when she was younger, at schoolgirl age, she was playing, you know, in her local team, and there were only 3 other teams in the area. Yeah. So all 4 teams just played each other all season. Yeah. And now she's in her 20s. She's still playing football, but she just said, you know, we heard it from Rachel Yankee earlier, participation at local clubs has doubled, and the girls' teams are there. Well, listen, you're still doing your bit, so thank you very much. And like I said, like I was saying to Rachel, to Lucy Bronze's family, it's inspiring girls in whatever they want to do, whether it's football or not.
Definitely, yeah.
Brilliant. Right, really good to see you. Thank you so much, back in England. Really good to have you in tonight.
Thank you.
Well, there's more to come. Let the celebrations continue. I'm going to be down at Buckingham Palace tomorrow with a special programme. We start at 11 o'clock tomorrow. The Lionesses celebrating their Euros win with an open-top bus parade and ceremony. So join us here on Sky News for that. And now to Scotland, where the Prime Minister is having dinner with Donald Trump. The US president's private trip to the UK is drawing to a close. Today there was an impromptu press conference and it highlighted just how fine a line Sir Keir Starmer has to tread with the US leader. He let Mr Trump do most of the talking, only interjecting at carefully chosen moments, and mainly about UK domestic politics. However, the leaders appeared to be in agreement on a number of issues, including addressing the situation in Gaza and ending the war in Ukraine. Our US correspondent James Matthews has the story.
On Scotland's west coast, it had the look of friends reunited. When President met Prime Minister, the bagpipes played and stopped for no man, nor news conference.
She is a respected person all over the United States. I don't know what he's doing, but she's very respected. As respected as him. I don't want to say more, I'll get myself in trouble.
It was sweetness and light until it was serious. The music had stopped when both men started to talk Gaza and an escalating crisis.
Those children look very hungry, but we're giving a lot of money and a lot of food, and other nations are now stepping up. I know that this nation is, right
It's
here.
a humanitarian crisis.
Right.
It's an absolute catastrophe. And nobody wants to see that. And I think people in Britain are revolted at seeing what they're seeing on their screens. So we've got to get to that ceasefire. And thank you, Mr. President, for leading on that, and also to just get more and more aid in.
See, Biden didn't have this kind of press. One report.
Trump boasted of a big audience before he delivered big news on Russia. He'd given Vladimir Putin 50 days to reach a peace deal with Ukraine or face sanctions. That has changed.
I'm going to make a new deadline of about 10 or 12 days from today. There's no reason in waiting. There's no reason in waiting.
Following a weekend's golfing, the Monday media appearance saw President in talkative mood. He had previously dismissed questions about his links to Jeffrey Epstein, convicted sex trafficker. Not here. He chose to address the story that he'd sent Epstein the hand-drawn picture of a naked woman.
I'm not a drawing person. I don't do drawings of women, that I can tell you.
And Trump spoke of falling out with Epstein and reiterated that he'd never been to his private island where crimes took place.
He stole people that work for me. I said, don't ever do that again. He did it again, and I threw him out of the place, persona non grata. I threw him out, and that was it. I'm glad I did, if you want to know the truth. And by the way, I never went to the island, and Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times.
This is the seascape to where President Trump travelled next, wind turbines and all. Of that site, he takes a dim view. Not so the golf course up the coast. He flew with the UK Prime Minister to Aberdeenshire's Balmedy estate. He'll end his Scottish trip here, opening a golf course in honour of his late mother.
Mr. Trump, go home!
There was a small anti-Trump protest a short distance from the golf course as Donald Trump headed in their direction. And there was this, a few hundred yards from the shore at Trump's course. A boat sporting a Palestinian flag sped along a stretch of the coastline, followed by the police as they prepared for the president's arrival. It is public protest in contrast to the warmth of Donald Trump's politician hosts. There's no doubt that Trump and Starmer have built a good relationship. What they built on it is the question. The UK's Prime Minister came here looking to stress the urgency of the situation in the Middle East and between Russia and Ukraine. The signs are that the President is listening to a Prime Minister increasingly styled as the Trump whisperer. Away from the public gaze, refining the trade agreement with the US is a priority for Keir Starmer. His vision for a deal is one that doesn't come with a guarantee. The Trump whisperer will be wary of sweet nothings. James Matthews, Sky News, in Aberdeenshire.
And Connor, the two men are having dinner tonight. What's going to be the talk around the table, do you think?
Well, clearly this has been a big day for both the Prime Minister, who arrived here in the most friendly of settings with the President himself, after that freewheeling press conference that we were just hearing there about Jeffrey Epstein being the big moment, clearly dodging questions over the course of the weekend, including from us here at Sky News. But in the comfort of his own surroundings, by his side, his friend Keir Starmer, he felt comfortable enough to reveal more around that saga that is encircling the White House at the moment. But yes, attention moved away from Turnberry and is now very much firmly focused here on the Aberdeenshire coastline, the second of Donald Trump's resorts that he said was the second best in the world after Turnberry. And I can tell you, in familiar fashion now, as we have been seeing over the past few days here in Scotland, it was a spectacle when Donald Trump arrived. We had the motorcade at Turnberry. Well, here it was the turn of the helicopters, Marine One, with both the President and the Prime Minister on board. They arrived here into these settings on the Aberdeenshire coastline, circling the golf course here behind me that Donald Trump is due to open, the second course here tomorrow, which will be a big moment in itself. But the pair were swirling around here, and in the background were those wind turbines, the windmills as he calls them, and no doubt there would have been a comment or two. The pair are having dinner tonight just a few metres away from where we are standing just now, and also in the room is the Scottish First Minister John Swinney. Donald Trump making comments about a possible future Scottish independence referendum today, saying there should be a restriction of 50 or 75 years between both of those votes. Well, John Swinney is in the room tonight. What's on the menu? Well, potentially a slice of awkwardness.
Connor, thank you. So to come here on the UK Tonight, inside the UK's ketamine crisis, we hear about the life-changing consequences of addiction to the drug that has left people in chronic pain and close to death. Plus, a trial of tasers in Britain's prisons. But will it help curb record levels of inmate violence?
Our app gives you the very best of Sky News wherever you are. Breaking news, videos and analysis.
Evidence of the crisis.
Podcasts, watching us live.
Live here from Washington.
Wherever you get your podcast.
All in one place. And all at just the touch of a screen. The Sky News app. Get the full story first.
Health workers on the front line of drug recovery have told Sky News that the UK is facing a tidal wave of problems if more isn't done to stop people taking ketamine. A record number are using the Class B party drug, and the government is now reconsidering classifying it. Sky's Shingi Marike has been speaking to people who have become addicted and those trying to help them. And just to warn you that Shingi's report contains images of drug use.
It's fast becoming the drug of our time. Ketamine use is on the rise.
The number of young people taking the drug ketamine has tripled.
With high-profile deaths.
The actor Matthew Perry died from the acute effects of the sedative ketamine.
And more people needing treatment. Those in power are looking to take action.
The government is reviewing the possibility of reclassifying ketamine.
We've been speaking to the people whose lives have been irreparably damaged by this drug.
And I tried it, and I just remember having it and just thinking, like, this is it. Like, this is my saviour, this is my drug.
And those dealing with the consequences.
Ketamine has this very specific, quick damage to the kidneys and the bladder specifically that we just don't see in any other drug use.
Ketamine can be used medically as an anaesthetic, but it's become part of the fabric of Britain's nightlife. A Class B drug, it's cheap and easily available. Statistics show it's no longer a substance at the fringes, but one that is a growing part of young people's lives. A party drug for some, an addiction for others. So today we've come to a drug detox centre on the Wirral where they've seen an increase in the number of patients being treated for ketamine addiction issues. It's a good chance to look at the scale of the problem, but also to talk to some of the people who are impacted by it.
This is the Acorn community here, and this is where they do the detox.
Okay, so this is sort of, if someone was starting their journey with you, this is where they would come first. Yeah. Jo has worked in healthcare for more than 20 years and says she's not seen anything quite like this. The week before we meet, 14 out of 25 beds were taken up by ketamine users.
That's where our processes have started, with families in crisis, really, or with key workers picking somebody up in the community and saying this is an urgent detox. They're all pretty urgent, to be honest with you. They're all presenting with the urinary incontinence. Some can't even walk, they've lost their muscle tone, they're in wheelchairs, and the crippling pain that they're going through is significant.
Nationally, the number of ketamine users starting treatment is 8 times higher now than it was 10 years ago.
And we've got Callum here, who's going to be able to...
Callum was at his lowest when he came here.
I was told I had a couple of days to live before I came into here, which is when Jo came to mine. And she seen me for the first time, and just looking at me, she said, I'm getting you in here, I need to help you and stuff, which I've never felt like someone's going to help me before then. I've not felt like that before, and it's a blessing, really, to be honest with you.
Trapped by a drug that creates a vicious cycle, he needed it to ease the pain it caused him.
The reason I would be taking it a lot is because of the pain, and when you're on that, you don't feel the pain. It's only once you get off the ketamine you realise the pains that you've got and the problems that you've got majorly. Because when you're on it, you know you've sort of got pains, but you don't think they're that bad. People, I know, drank 30, 40 years, and my liver's worse than theirs, like, from just ketamine.
What are you thinking, just at this moment?
At this moment, it's just this, yeah, you just realise what you've done to yourself, and you wish you could go back, you know there's no going back, but it's just building off that, really. That's the way since being here, just looking forward. I just want to get myself back on track. That's it, really.
Also staying at Birchwood is Nicole, a young mum. She started taking ketamine to help her through a difficult period in her 20s. Her honesty is brutal.
I don't regret taking ketamine.
You don't regret it?
No. If I didn't take ketamine in that period of time, I wouldn't be here. It was a coping mechanism for a while until it destroyed my life. Everybody else is going out for a drink, they're all dragging me out, and I just can't. And I just looked at the ketamine and I was like, pass me that. And I tried it, and I just remember having it and just thinking, like, this is it. Like, this is my saviour, this is my drug.
In the 4 years since she first took ketamine, Nicole has suffered a series of health issues. which her doctors have struggled to get a grip on.
Found out that my damage is irreversible because I have permanent scarring in my bladder now. So even if they do manage to stretch my bladder or do something with my bladder, or even if my bladder doesn't need removing, I'm still going to be in chronic pain probably for the rest of my life.
Alison Downey is a consultant urologist in one of the country's ketamine hotspots. She says its health consequences are complex and challenging.
There's no other drug that does this amount of damage this quickly to your kidneys and your bladder. We obviously see patients who have drug addiction problems from heroin and cocaine in A&E or on the wards, but ketamine has this very specific, quick damage to the kidneys and the bladder specifically that we just don't see in any other drug use. Ketamine bladder is a really painful condition where you pass urine very frequently, so often 10 to 15 minutes, including during the night time. Some patients can get incontinence because of the strength of the contraction of their bladders. They often see blood in their urine, and that's because of the damage to the lining of the bladder.
Doctors are still trying to understand why this happens, but they do know the significant impact.
So we know that the average capacity of a person that's been using ketamine for a long amount of time is about 100 mils, which is about the size of this balloon. If you compare that to a normal adult bladder, which holds about 500 mils, so 5 of these balloons, you can see that the capacity is severely reduced, and that can result in them needing to go to the toilet every 15 to 20 minutes throughout the day or night. So it really is a massive problem.
And it's those debilitating consequences leading to more people needing help.
We've seen an explosion in numbers over the past, particularly 2 to 3 years. Maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, we would have had 1 or 2 a month. We're now seeing at least 8 or 9 a month of patients coming through with ketamine bladder.
One of those patients is Jamie, who at times also sold the drug to fund his habit. We've changed his name and filmed him anonymously to protect his identity. He lost his 20s and his bladder to ketamine.
It weren't a good spot in my life, so I just found it normal. You know, people weren't smoking weed like the wood where I was from. They were sniffing ket. Usually with ketamine you start off with stomach cramps, you know. It folds you over backwards and it's a worse pain in your abdominal region. I thought they might wear off because I'd seen 1 or 2 people stop using and recover from that, but because I was using for such a long time, it just ended up being battered, mate. I couldn't function without using the stuff then.
What would have happened if you didn't get your bladder removed and the bag inserted?
I dread to think, mate, because, you know, top and tail of it, I was keeping strong-minded, but if that weren't an option and I had to live the rest of my life as I were, I don't think I could stand it, you know.
One of the things that the government is looking at doing is reclassifying ketamine as potentially as a Class A substance. It's currently a Class B. What do you think about that?
It is put into a Class A, definitely. While I was in rehab, I saw a lot of people who'd use Class A's like heroin and stuff for years and years. We're talking addicts who would have 20-year usage behind them, and they were healthier than I were.
Reclassifying ketamine would lead to greater penalties for making and selling it. But many think there should be more of a focus on education rather than punishment.
If it's not stopping people at Class B, is it really going to be stopping people much more at Class A? Or do we need a different angle and a different take on how to actually address this? And I believe we need to be using different methods. We need to be thinking more about how we can actually spend that time and money towards helping the people who are using ketamine and education programmes to stop people starting to use ketamine in the first place.
Discussions about drugs often focus on the harm they cause, looking at strategy, prevention and policy. But dealing with this growing crisis will take more than that. Everyone we've spoken to agrees it needs urgency.
What I'm really worried about is that it's almost too late. There's people that have died that we've been waiting to assess, and they've died days before they've come in for treatment. And if that's happening now, it's only going to escalate.
They say it's not an addictive drug really and stuff like that, but it's highly addictive. I know a lot of people are addicted. It seems to be getting worse and worse nowadays than it was.
It's scary. It's very sad as well, you know, because it's completely preventable if people know not to take it.
The people impacted by ketamine and those supporting them say time is running out. Shingi Marike, Sky News.
Well, Shingi's here with me in the studio now. And Shingi, that was a really eye-opening report in terms of many people will have heard of ketamine or K and that association with it being a party drug. But the devastating consequences of taking it, you showed us that. But can you just talk to us about the scale of it? How many young people are taking this? Because it's readily available and cheap, right?
Yeah, that's right. And experts described ketamine to us as a tidal wave, that rise in young people using it. But just to give you a sense of a stark statistic, it passed cocaine for the first time in terms of young people reporting having a problem with it between 2023 and 2024. So that very much makes it the drug of our time. And we know that even though the numbers of deaths related to ketamine are quite small in the round, they are rising. So there is that in terms of statistics, but also when we spoke to those people running frontline services, be it the urologist at Pinderfields Hospital in West Yorkshire or at that detox clinic we saw there, they are talking about explosions in numbers. That detox clinic had 14 out of 25 beds the week before we went there, taken up by ketamine users presenting complex, really serious health problems.
And those complex, serious health problems are life-changing in terms of what it can do to you, even if you come off the drug. And you have to obviously live with that. I mean, you were speaking to some of the young people there. A lot of the conversation, of course, didn't make the final edit, you know, the details that they went into. But, you know, it's really harmful quickly, and that's the key, quickly.
Yeah, you're right. That is the key, that word quickly there. And you mentioned conversations and things that might not have made the final cut. One of the things that really struck me was the fact that so many of those conversations were punctuated by the prolonged pain of the people I spoke to. So, for example, Callum, who was at the detox clinic, needed the toilet quite often, would have to break off the interview so he could do that. Whereas Nicole stopped me at a point during the interview to say, sorry, my bladder is spasming. So there is that pain. And one point to make is that this drug creates a vicious cycle because it is an anesthetic. It's used medically to ease pain. You take more when your bladder is having those really severe side effects and you continue to take it, so it traps you.
Reclassifying, is that the answer?
I think that's the question now. That's the one thing that we don't have that much certainty around. The government in January said they would take that away and look at it. Currently, it's a Class B drug, so that's a 14-year sentence at most for supplying and making ketamine. But I think reclassification has to sit in a nuanced debate, and all of those people I spoke to were saying that there needs to be more resource, whether that's joined up thinking between the health services and those drug detox centres as well, and better education. So I think
just what it can do to you. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think reclassification is one thing, but I also think that campaigners believe that it needs to come with more.
OK, Shingi, thank you. Shingi Marike there with that special report, how ketamine is destroying lives. Thank you, Shingi. Still to come here on the programme, Tasers to be trialled in prisons to tackle high levels of inmate violence and help protect staff. We'll discuss that next. Tasers are to be used in prisons for the first time. This is as part of a trial to tackle high levels of violence and to keep prison staff safe. Specialist officers based in Oxfordshire and South Oxfordshire will be deployed to incidents in adult male prisons in England and Wales, equipped with tasers to use where there is a significant threat to safety. This could include riots or hostage situations. Let's speak now to Mark Fairhurst, the National Chair of the Prison Officers Association. Good of you to join us this evening to discuss this. Your thoughts on this introduction?
Well, it's very welcome. I'm glad that we've got a Secretary of State and a government that's listening to the voice of the front line and, more importantly, acting upon the violence that we face. And the evidence is all too there for everyone to see, because it's not so long ago at Belmarsh we had a prisoner convicted of attempted murder of a prison officer. We've had 2 inmates at Whitemoor with fake suicide vests try to take a prison officer hostage. And then we've had the terrorist atrocity at Frankland where 3 of my colleagues were nearly murdered on duty. So we vitally need this resource to quell the violence and act as a deterrent.
Is this just part of what you need? You know, I know, having spoken to you before and having spoken to former prison officers who themselves have been attacked, they are calling for what they say is pretty basic things like stab vests, and they're not uniform standard issue yet. What more do you need to keep people safe?
So we see this as a positive and the first step in the right direction. And what we would eventually like to see is Taser available locally for specially trained staff, because this is a national resource, it's a trial period, but it's no good having a Taser available with a national resource which is 3 hours down the road when you need it because there's an immediate threat. So yes, we want to see it rolled out locally after this trial period, and we would like to see standardised issue of some sort of slash-proof, maybe bite-proof vest or issues of uniform to protect our members on the front line from the imminent threat they face on a daily basis. It's getting out of hand now. We're at a 10-year record high for violence against staff.
Yeah, talk to me about the environment that your officers are working in at the moment.
Well, the thing with the environment, sir, it's so hostile and violent. It's the most violent workplace of anywhere in the world. And my members have to face that violence to the ripe old age of 68 because of our ridiculous retirement age. We don't have the protections in place. And it's only certain areas of the estate that actually have protections at all. For example, the highest rise in violence against staff is in the female estate, yet my colleagues working with female offenders don't have any protections whatsoever. They don't carry any personal protective equipment at all. So things need to change, and we need to be protected in our workplaces.
This isn't new. I know you've been talking about this for years. Why is this change so slow?
I think there has to be, first and foremost, a political will, but it also has to be a will from the leaders of this service to convince governments that we need these protections in place. And it shouldn't take a near murder on duty by a terrorist offender to bring this to the forefront and to make our leaders wake up and listen to their employees. We shouldn't need an atrocity to give us the protections we need on the front line. We're similar to the police, but the police don't face dangers every single shift. Every time a prison officer opens a cell door, it's unpredictable. They don't know what they're going to face. Their lives are on the line every single day, protecting the public.
Mark Fairhurst, National Chair of the Prison Officers Association, really appreciate you coming on to comment on this story this evening. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Coming up here on the UK Tonight, potential changes to England's side for the 5th and final test against India as Ben Stokes' sportsmanship is questioned.
Mayhem in the Middle East, rippling in America's West.
Get back! Get back!
The resolve of these protesters is now being seriously tested. I saw police being forced or pushing young men and women to the ground as they made almost 100 arrests.
None of this is a peaceful protest.
I'm Martha Kellner and I'm Sky's US correspondent based here in Los Angeles.
How are you feeling?
I am angry.
It is an anti-woman agenda. Will the cold affect your voters?
Well, we have a lot of tremendous support, but it's nasty out there.
Anybody else?
Should the Defence Secretary and the Vice...
Wait, what country are you
from? The UK.
Okay, we don't give a crap about your opinion and your reporting. Why don't you go back to your country where you have a major migrant problem?
President Biden, do you trust President Xi? President Biden says that this meeting went well. He said real progress was made on a whole host of issues. Will your candidates win?
I hope so. I think they will. I think they're great candidates.
There's no doubt that Kamala Harris and her team are harnessing the power of social media. Do you think Kamala is brat?
Kamala's brat.
Were you scared?
Yeah, we were scared. It was terrible. Strong wind, building tearing down.
As them say, God works, so we can't do nothing.
The people here know that worse storms may well be on their way. Sky News, get the full story first. Free wherever you get your news. Ghislaine Maxwell has pleaded not guilty to all 6 charges against her. Mum, how are you feeling today?
Jeffrey said, you answer to Ghislaine, you just don't cross her.
We've got your Sunday mornings covered. From the front page and the sounds of the streets to the voices of the people who make the major calls and big picture politics beyond Westminster. We'll put you at the heart of our story. I'm ready. Are you? Join me, Trevor Phillips, Sunday mornings on Sky News.
Hello, welcome back. Chris is here with the sport. And we're talking about cricket. And cricket could have easily got lost today, what with the Lionesses and the football and everything. But you've been keeping an eye on it. A tense end to this 4th test between England and India, right?
Yeah, but it did get lost because it culminated yesterday between sort of 5 and 6:30 when the Lionesses were on the telly, and a lot of people would have turned off the Sky coverage to have watched that because that was a moment in this country's history, and this was another test match, but it was a bad-tempered end to the test. So you can see Ben Stokes behind me there. He confronted the India batsman and offered them a draw. The match was going nowhere. It was always going to be a draw. And they said, no, we want to get our hundreds, both batters, Washington Sundar and Ravindra Jadeja. And Ben Stokes was saying, what's the point? The game's a draw. Let's end it. Neither of them, or Washington Sundar had never got a century. So you can't really chide him for wanting to get to his first century. And it's a test match. And this is how long we play, 5 days. So they're well within their rights. But there was a lot of aggro from Stokes, from his England cohort, and there you can see it right there. They bowled Harry Brook, who is not much of a bowler, and he was basically throwing up long hops, easy ones for them to bash for 6 and 4, and they got their hundreds. And Stokes has said, look, my bowlers were too tired. I wasn't going to risk my bowlers. The next test starts on Thursday, so we gave you Harry Brook. If roles were reversed, we would never have done that. We would have shaken your hand and ended the game in a draw.
Interesting. Really like to know what people think about that. Get in touch at Sky Sarah-Jane. I'm on the fence about that one, actually. Could the team changes have a knock-on for the Ashes? What team changes are on the horizon?
Well, Stokes is carrying an injury, so he might not bowl if he plays. I think he will play because he's such an important captain. So Jamie Overton has been added to the squad. He's a Surrey fast bowler. He's played 1 test for England. That was 3 years ago. They've also got Josh Tongue and Gus Atkinson in reserve because Chris Wokes, Bryden Cast, Jofra Archer, they've all been flayed. They've bowled so many overs. So it's an opportunity for whoever comes in. This is the final test match before the Ashes, which starts on November the 21st in Perth. Great opportunity for them. England lead 2-1 with 1 to play. Let's have a look at the rest of the sport.
Staying connected is vital for business. Sky Business sponsors this report.
With weeks to go before the English football season starts, Sky Sports News were given exclusive access to the PGMO's referee pre-season camp.
The highs are really high, the lows are not so good, you know when you've made a mistake.
Premier League's always evolving, it's faster, it's quicker, players are hitting ridiculously top speeds, we've got to match that.
We got to know the people behind the whistle and what it takes physically and mentally to officiate at the top.
When I finished refereeing, the scrutiny wasn't the same, but it took a different form really.
Probably the biggest thing that's changing about the game is the pure speed of it.
We spent 2 days in Alicante learning how referees, assistant refs and VAR refs are getting ready for the season.
At times it seems almost like chaos. What's it like being in there? What's it like actually doing the job? Yeah, it's quite sort of opposite to what you've said really. In some respects quite a calm environment.
Day 1. and a light session to begin.
There'll be a mixture of physical, which mainly is going to be for the whole week. We'll do a couple of technical sessions where we'll look at intricates in regards of tactical elements and expectations of the season ahead for the referees. But mainly on the pitches, it's going to be the physical. One of the biggest things that we'll do at this time over the course of this week is one-to-ones with each referee and individual to actually see how they are, how do they feel, how they prepare themselves.
Sky Business sponsors this report.
Now, to celebrate the Lionesses' historic back-to-back Euros victories, the winning squad is going to take part in an open-top bus parade tomorrow in central London, and Sky News will be there. You can join us from 11 o'clock for full live coverage of the parade. It's going to be along the Mall. You can catch a glimpse of the team and the trophy as they make their way down the Mall to Buckingham Palace for some final celebrations. There will then be a stage ceremony outside the gates at 12:30. We'll see you tomorrow.